Hey everyone, Annika Godlewski here for another week of Maximum Storytelling. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who's out there listening. You might be live in the Maximum Layer Guild, which all of our guild members get to enjoy. Question and answers and live recordings of all of our podcasts. So you might be out there listening live. Feel free to send me a question, or you might be in your car, at home, or working out. So if you are not live with me, definitely consider joining the Guild because you'll have great opportunities to ask additional questions as we record these podcasts. Like I said, I'm Annika Godlewski. This is another week of Maximum Storytelling. And this week, I wanted to give you guys a couple of suggestions on how to take your video testimonials a little farther by making follow-up videos of where are they now. So we all have clients who, have overcome such adversity. It doesn't really matter what practice area you're in. Your clients are coming to you because they have a problem that is absolutely stressing them out and they have to hire someone to help them, right? So when you help them overcome that, obviously when the case resolves itself or when the task is done or the job is finished, that person is going to feel appreciative 9 times out of 10, right? But they're also still kind of on that high, if you will, of having to deal with the stress. So they're not really going to see a complete resolution until later on down the road. They might have their initial problem solved, but they're still dealing with those emotional after effects of the whole process. So after you get your initial video testimonial, talking about how the most recent process went, it's a really good idea to follow up with your clients. In most instances, a year is a decent amount of time. Follow up with your clients a year later and talk to them about, what their life is like now. How far have they come? What is different? What's better? How did the process that you guys went through together affect the way that their lives are 12 months out? So I have a couple of ideas for you here. Again, this can work for virtually any practice area. You just identify the initial problem that the person had, talk a little bit about the process of how you helped them, and then cut to the client talking about how things are different now. I mean, or you could have that discussion with your client ahead of time and have your client talk about those things, which would be even better on video. Have them talk about why they went to you in the first place, what that process was like from their perspective, going through everything by having them help you. And then, which is really what you're initially going to cover in the first video testimonial. But if they want to repeat that, or if they want to just elaborate on it a year later and then go into what their life is like now, that's also very helpful. Or you could use that original footage from the first video testimonial and then cut that, edit that into the second video, the year out video. So, I mean, I'm just going to run down a few ideas for different practice areas, but I wanted to start with immigration. Immigration attorneys have such a great opportunity to reach back out to their clients. And I guess I should, even before I give all of these suggestions for different practice areas, I mean, another benefit of doing these videos would be the fact that it gives you a reason to call your client. So it makes you seem like the hero for saying, hey, I know it's been a year since we last talked. I don't need anything from you. You don't have an outstanding bill. I just wanted to call and see how you're doing. I wanted to tell your story. I wanted to check in and, stay connected with you. That will show that you are an attorney who doesn't necessarily care about only what's going on in the immediate, in the immediate case. You care about their life and you care about how things are going to be for them in the future. Of course, you care about solving their initial problem, but you want to make sure that the way that you solve that problem has effects that will be so long lasting. And when you call up a client and you ask them how they're doing a whole year later, that client's going to feel like they matter, and they're going to feel like somebody cares about them, and they are going to have that validation that you did want to set their lives up for success, not only 2 weeks after settlement or 2 weeks after the case is finalized, but really for a whole lifetime. So immigration attorneys have a really great opportunity to do this. They're representing people who are just so desperate to enjoy all of the wonderful benefits you have of being an American citizen, and they're so thankful after they have that citizenship, and they're so relieved because they don't have to worry about getting deported. They don't have to worry about being torn from their families, and they don't have to worry about leaving their spouse here and having to go back to their home country. So of course they're going to be excited when they finally do get their citizenship with your help, but it's also going to be a really great story to tell a year later. Perhaps when you follow up, you see that they had a new child, or they were able to open a business, or the restaurant that they always hoped would be there, that they would be able to share their cuisine with their community is finally a reality. There's so many cool stories that will come out from immigration stories. So I challenge all of you immigration attorneys out there to follow up with your clients, and even if it's over Zoom, just having them talk about what life is like. It's really cool. Personal injury attorneys. I mean, this one's pretty straightforward. You're dealing with families who are rocked by one of them becoming injured, in whether it's a car accident, or whether it's a bicycle accident, or a child injury. Child injuries are especially great when about pulling at heartstrings. You're seeing these kids grow up, and what originally seemed like such a devastating moment it is possible for it to end in happiness and healing. And highlighting overcoming that adversity is really impactful, not only for that family, but for potential families who are so worried because maybe their accident just happened, and they're looking for an attorney who obviously can solve their problem right off the bat, with the insurance companies calling and trying to find the right medical treatment, and really just having some direction on where to go and what to do, but also somebody who's going to take care of things so that life can heal and life can get better. So personal injury follow-up videos, even 6 months out or 2 years out, they're going to be especially impactful because you're going to see the actual physical healing. Dog bite cases. There have been so many dog bite cases out there where little children are bitten and they're terrified of everything, because it's just such a scary situation that happened. And, first you have this little child with these horrible looking, wounds. And then after the fact, you show this follow-up, you show the follow-up of them healed and them happy and them ready to take on life and ready to take on the world and not be scared. We did, one time we did a follow-up video where there were quite a few children who were injured by dentists. The dentists had treated these kids and improperly, and they filled cavities that didn't exist, and they put caps on perfectly healthy teeth. And there were so many of these kids that were absolutely terrified to go to the dentist, and rightfully so. They had been strapped down, papoosed, and not given any pain medication. They were taken away from their parents during the treatments, and then they had all these horrible things done to them by somebody that you were supposed to be able to trust as a child, your dentist. So while we didn't do a video of a child who had overcome that, we did do a follow-up video on what it should be like to go to the dentist, and what it should be like when you have somebody that you truly can trust, and what the process should actually be. Is that was pretty impactful. So when we did that video, it ended up, I think right now it's at something like 7 million views or something crazy. But it's because kids who are scared of going to the dentist need to see that, right? So we took the scary part, we figured out, hey, what is going to be impactful for these families once that healing occurs. And once that knowledge sinks in that it doesn't have to be that way, and you're not always going to have this fear, and you're not always going to have these injuries, what does life look like after the fact? And then we were able to create a video of that. So I mean, that's really one way to approach it, is ask your clients right when right when the case is over, or even on intake. Ask them at intake, what do you hope your life is going to be like at the end of this case? Then at the end of the case, and write that answer down, and then at the end of the case, ask them what they want their life to look like a year from then, or 5 years from then, and then check back in with them when the case just settles or finalizes. Ask them again what their initial hope was at intake, and see how things have changed, and have them discuss that in the video. And then a year later, ask that question again and say, hey, when the case initially settled, you said that a year from now you wanted to do X, Y, and Z, or you wanted to be in this place. You wanted to be healed and happy and healthy. So see if that happened. And if it did, you capture that on video. It can be really impactful. Estate planning. I know estate planning is a little bit more tough, but if you take the time to sit down with a family and truly, truly show that you care when you outline all of their wishes for after after they're gone, then when that person passes away, it's going to be easier for the family to just navigate through your plan that you had helped them set up, so that they can focus on their grief, and so they can focus on celebrating the life of that that person who had just passed, not all of the paperwork that they would have been bogged down with had they not come to you in the first place for estate planning. So I'm sure that there are going to be surviving family members who are appreciative of that. And it doesn't have to be a morbid conversation by calling up the family 6 months or a year after that person has passed away to say, hey, how are you? I'm sure that it's hard having lost your dad, or having lost your mom, or having lost anyone special in your family, but how are you doing? And what was it okay? Was everything, I mean, of course you're going to have a little bit of communication with that family when the person passes away. They usually call and check in, but when the time comes, ask them how everything went, and try to get their feedback on how much easier the process was because of the estate planning, and then capture that on video. And that's, I mean, such a beautiful testimonial that they were truly able to focus on their family and focus on the passing of their loved one and all that that grief, instead of the paperwork. Criminal defense. Any of you criminal defense guys out there and women who you have these clients who they just want to be able to live their lives and forget about the crime that was committed, or maybe they were wrongfully accused and they just want to make the whole thing go away so that they can get back to life. Maybe it's somebody who had some sort of addiction problem, and the crime stemmed from the issues that they had with drugs or alcohol, and you helping them get a lower sentence is what helped them get on the path to recovery and the path to changing their lives. So I'm sure that there are so many stories out there of these people overcoming adversity, and you giving them a second chance by keeping them out of jail so that they can live the life that they want. Bill Umansky down in Orlando, Florida, he has a whole foundation called the Second Chance Foundation, and it's just beautiful, some of the stories that these people have. So it would be really cool to capture some of those on video. Outside of the courthouse, of course, somebody is going to be elated that they don't have to spend time in jail. But how cool would it be to see the impact of that lighter sentence, or that 0 sentence, or not guilty verdict a year later? There was Sean Hamp in Arizona. I interviewed one of his clients, and oh my goodness, it was so moving, because the kid had said, this was, maybe 6 months after his criminal defense case was over. He had said, I always wanted to go to college, and Attorney Hamp made that happen for me. So had he not been able, had he been stuck in jail, he would have never gotten that opportunity. So it was really impactful to hear him say, it's changing the whole course of my life. It's giving me the chance to, move on and do something with my life and be a better person and meet my goals, and even care enough to actually set goals. A lot of people who are facing jail time, they're so worried that they're so worried that their life isn't going to amount to anything, because that jail sentence is going to just be hanging over them, that they don't, there's just not a lot of hope. So when they encounter a criminal defense attorney like you, who helps them move on with their life, once they start to live that life that doesn't involve being in jail, great things happen. And so again, great video content. Bankruptcy, again, easy one. These people are drowning in debt. They're so terrified. They don't know how to navigate through life because they're so burdened with all of the money that they owe. Along comes a bankruptcy attorney who actually cares, helps them get back on their feet, helps them breathe a little bit. And, hopefully a year from then, that feeling of stress relief is still there. So again, great way to capture things. Discrimination or sexual harassment attorneys. I mean, imagine how defeated you must feel to have to go to an attorney because you have been so wronged for no reason whatsoever. And, to have someone actually care and give you a voice, and it helps you gain back your power, and it helps you gain back your self-confidence, and it helps you, take the blame off of yourself if that's the case. Again, as that healing occurs, it's going to become even more empowering for some of these people. So again, capturing that a year out is going to be really impactful. Adoption stories are so beautiful. You have families who are so desperate to give these children a home, and then it happens and you help make it happen. And how cool is it to watch everything, watch the child grow and watch the family grow. Again, another great one. Even business lawyers, contract lawyers, all of you attorneys out there who help other people set up new businesses. There's that thrill of creating an LLC, or the thrill of really making your passion official. And, a new business owner is scared and they're hoping that things are going to go okay. And they're hoping, well, now everyone's hoping that another pandemic doesn't strike and, kind of derail things. But how neat would it be to check in with one of your clients a year down the road and see how that restaurant is thriving, or see how the new boutique is going, or any of the businesses that your clients start. It would be, one, a great reason to check back in with them. Two, it of course tells the story of how everything that you are doing to help your clients has a lasting effect. But three, how great is it to highlight that business, and which is a form of marketing in and of itself for that client. That video will be shown everywhere. They'll share the video around, and it turns into almost a promotional video for both of you guys, right? Another one that is another practice area that can really benefit from a year out, or even 2 years out videos, are anything having to do with divorce, or child custody. I know it's so tough to go through a divorce. In fact, I'm going through one right now, and it is devastating, right? It's soul crushing, and there are so many emotions involved, and there are so many scary decisions, and you feel like you're at a loss for words all the time. And you probably feel like you're crazy, and you probably feel like just so emotional. And when you have that light, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and hopefully have a good attorney by your side helping guide you to that light. But it can be really dim, especially if you're still in the thick of things and there aren't very many resolutions. Well, after everything is resolved, of course, you may say, you may have a big breath of relief that it's finally over, but the pain is still there, and it takes a long time. I'm trying to keep my eye on a bright light, but again, it's very hard a lot of times. So my hope is that you divorce attorneys out there who are really truly helping men and women move on from, the death of their marriages. That's what I have to keep telling myself. It's okay to be sad, and it's okay to mourn, and it's okay to cry and show your emotions, because it's the death of a marriage, and there's going to be the same amount of grief, or there's going to be some level of grief as you mourn that. Well, if you're helping somebody through that process, you're helping so much more than I think you even realize, because it's so much more than just paperwork and splitting everything up. It's having somebody by your side to help you make those decisions in a clear, concise, non-emotional way that is going to make the biggest difference when the case is resolved. So again, even when it is initially resolved, there's still so much stress maybe, and so much emotion. So how neat would it be to reach out to your clients a year out, or even 2 years out, when they're back on their feet and they're so much less stressed, and they are actually, instead of seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, they're enjoying the sunshine outside of that tunnel, right? And they're having the life that they always hoped that they would have, but they never really thought was possible. So seeing seeing how that client overcame the adversity is going to tell a beautiful story of course, overcoming adversity, but it's also going to give a lot of hope to your audience, and it'll give a lot of hope to the people watching it. And perhaps it could give a lot of hope to people who are, on the fence about separating or getting divorced in the first place, because they think that, life is never going to be the same, and it's not quite, what's worse, staying in a marriage that's unhealthy, or being alone and being divorced. Maybe if there's somebody who's on the fence about making that decision, they could come across your video and realize that it is possible to have the life that you want and the life that you deserve, um, just by seeing all of the other people that you've highlighted overcoming that same adversity. So I encourage all of you guys to take a look at all of your recent cases that have closed, and look at all of the challenges that people have overcome, but then also all of the potential opportunity for your clients to overcome more, and to heal, and to move on with their lives. And you can even look at your case list and look at all the cases that closed last year, 12 months ago. I know it's been, crazy year with COVID-19, but look at your cases that closed 12 months ago, 18 months ago, 24 months ago, and pick out those people that, probably had a really rough time moving on, and check in on them. Even if it turns out that it might not be, it might not be a story that's ready to be told on video, it still is going to mean so much to all of these clients that you reached out and checked in on them. And so let that conversation just start with, hey, how are you doing? It's been 12 months. I don't need anything from you other than to know that you're okay, and to see how you're doing. As the conversation progresses and you see everything that they have been doing over the past year, then it's going to be, pretty apparent how that healing has made an impact on their life. And if they're willing, then ask them to, tell their story on camera, and it'll really make an impact. So again, I encourage all of you guys to check back in with your people and try to do these follow-up videos, because I think it'll be, it'll make for great video, but it'll also make for some pretty heartwarming conversations as well. So again, Annika Godlewski for Maximum Storytelling. You can check us out live in the Maximum Lawyer Guild every Wednesday at 12:30 Central, 1:30 Eastern, or check us out on MaximumLawyer.com, where you can find all of our podcast episodes. Thanks for joining.